Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name's Shadowwraith and today I'm going to be going over my review for the Dark Powers of Dol Guldur. Now, I've only seen this army come up maybe twice at an event, but I know a lot of people use it. One of my friends brought it around my gaming room and played me with it, and they were quite good. And they play particularly good in one certain scenario, which I will get to at the end when I talk about how competitive they are. Now, we'll jump straight in with the army bonus. His spirit has lost none of its potency. Whenever the Necromancer of Dol Guldur attempts to cast a magical power by expending one or more will, he automatically adds an extra free will point to the casting test. That is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And just so I can go over everything you can bring in the army composition as well. So, obviously, we've got the main stuff, we've got the Necromancer, we've got Nazgûls of Dol Guldur, Keeper of the Dungeon, Castellan of Dol Guldur, and we've got Hunter Orc Captains, Gundabad Orc Captains, Hunter Orcs, Gundabad Orc Warriors, Fell Wargs, and Mirkwood Spiders. So, it's more than what you just think. It's not just the Wraiths. So you can bring a pretty solid army. Now, the Necromancer himself, 250 points. So expensive. But is he worth it? Well, we'll find out. He is a whopping fight 7 with a 4+ shoot value. He's strength 6, which is good. Defense 8, which is pretty standard for all the ghosty things. Only 1 attack though, so he's more of a Nazgûl at the moment. He's got 1 wound, again, which is Nazgûl, and that hurts my soul, but he can just be banished. He's Courage 6, 3 Might, 25 Will, and Fate's got a little asterisk next to it. We'll get to that in a minute. So, he's got Heroic Channeling, Heroic Strength, and Heroic Challenge. He's got Ancient Evil, Terror, and Will of Evil. Oh, he's got Will of Evil as well. Oh god. He's just a very expensive ring wraith. So, basically, the Necromancer may use will points as fate points as he wishes. So, I mean, you've got 25 fate, I guess, kind of. Drained Soul. Any model that suffers a wound from the Necromancer during the fight phase is automatically slain, regardless of the number of wounds on its profile. A hero can use fate to avoid wounds suffered, but even if a single wound is not avoided, then the hero is slain and removed as a casualty. So that's really good. You can be one-shotting heroes. Along with that, we've got Master of the Nazgûl, and this is where he makes his points up. Any Nazgûl of Dol Guldur in the same army as the Necromancer of Dol Guldur gains a bonus of +1 to their rolls of Unholy Resurrection, whilst he is alive and on the board. Note, the Necromancer is in fact Sauron, so you can't bring Sauron and the Necromancer because they're the same person. What spells has he got? He's got Drain Courage, 12-inch range on a 2+, Transfix, 12-inch 2+, Compel, 12-inch 4+, Instill Fear, 3-inch 4+, Shroud of Shadows, 12-inch 4+, Your Staff is Broken, 12-inch 4+, Chill Soul, 12-inch 5+, and Sat Will, which is 12-inch 5+. So, here's a better Nazgûl. See, I've got a problem with him. The fact that he's only got 1 wound, he's got Will of Evil as well, and he's only got 1 attack. It just seems a little bit squishy for me because you will churn through your will with Will of Evil, plus using it as fate, plus using it to cast spells, which is what he's there for. But he is a hero of legend, so let's not forget that. Then we've got the Nazgûl of Dol Guldur. They're 75 points each. Hero of Valor, each guy. And their stat line's a bit different. Basically, each of the Nazgûl have different war gear as described over in their special section, and they've each got their names, and they've got slightly different stats that get affected by depending on which wraith they are. But the standard stat line is Move 6, Fight 5, 4+ shoot value, Strength 4, Defense 6, 2 attacks, 1 wound, Courage 6. They come with 2 Might, 1 Will, and no Fate. But they don't need Fate. 1 of 9, basically, there can only be a maximum of 9 models in any combination, including ring wraiths of any of the named wraiths in your force. Additionally, a hero wearing the ring is not invisible to these models as he is to others, which is really cool. Servants of Evil. When choosing the Nazgûl to field, pick one option from the list that follows. Each Nazgûl may be only taken once unless stated otherwise. And what they are is we've got the Witch King of Angmar. He's got armor and a sword, and he gets 3 might instead of 2. We've got Kamul, the Easternling. He has got 3 attacks rather than 2. The Dark Headsman. And Kamul's got a 2-handed mace as well, which sucks because he doesn't have Burly, but never mind. We've got armor and an axe for the Dark Headsman. If the Dark Headsman scores a natural 6 when rolling to wound, then the strike causes not 1 wound but D3 wounds instead. Determine the number of wounds after fate points are used. That's scary. The Forsaken has got armor and Trident Spear. The Trident Spear is a spear. Additionally, the Forsaken must reroll all failed rolls to wound. That is absolutely solid. I love that. The Lingering Shadow. Basically, after priority has been rolled, the controlling player may remove the Lingering Shadow from the board and place him anywhere within 3 inches of where he originally was. Note the Lingering Shadow may not be placed in base contact with enemy models. This does not count as moving. And then we've got the Abyssal Knight. So he's got an Elven-made sword. The Lingering Shadow only has a normal sword. And an army may include up to 2 Abyssal Knights. In the priority phase, after priority has been rolled for, the controlling player can choose to remove 1 Abyssal Knight and place it in base contact with the other Abyssal Knight if you have 2, as long as you are not in base contact with any enemy models, and it does not count as moving. And then we've got the Slayer of Men, and he's got a 2-handed mace. Now, an army may include up to 2 Slayers of Men. Additionally, the Slayer of Men never suffer the -1 penalty for wielding 2-handed weapons. That's absolutely fantastic. Strength 4, 2 attacks, +1 to wound. Really solid. Now, the little cherry on top for these guys is the Unholy Resurrection. Basically what it is when a model with this rule is slain, you place down a marker where it has died, and then in the priority phase, after priority has been rolled, you roll a d6 for each wraith that has died. On a 3+, the model regains 1 wound and may be placed anywhere within 6 of the marker, so long as it's not placed into base contact. Any might or will points that were spent remain spent, and whilst the marker is in play, the Nazgûl counts as on the board for the purposes of working out whether your force is broken or reduced to 25%, although you can't hold an objective whilst you're slain, because that'd be just cheesy. Plus, if your enemy calls a heroic combat and takes out the Nazgûl, it does count as killing the Nazgûl, just so you know. Then, if the roll is a 1 or 2 for the resurrection roll, the Nazgûl has been banished. Remove the marker from play. Wounds caused by magical powers or elven-made weapons inflict -1 penalty to the Unholy Resurrection rule. If, when the game ends and a marker is in play, the corresponding Nazgûl is not on the board, that Nazgûl counts as being slain for the purposes of victory conditions. So, instead of 3+, it goes to 2+ with the Necromancer. That's just nuts. So, yeah. So, you can see why they'd be quite strong. Then we got the Keeper of the Dungeons, 75 points. He is a hero of fortitude, fight 5, shoot value of 5+, strength 5, defense 6, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, and courage 5. He's got 3 might, 3 will, and no fate. And he comes with an armor, sword, and a 2-handed pick. He's got heroic strength, heroic strike, and heroic challenge, and he has got burly. Strength 5 at +1 to wound with 2 attacks is terrifying. Torturer. Each time the Keeper of the Dungeon slays a model, keep a note. Once he's killed 1 or more model, he may re-roll to wound rolls of 1. Once he's killed 3 or more models, he causes terror. Once he's killed 5 or more models, he re-rolls all failed to wound rolls. That is terrifying, because he'd be strength 5 with 2 attacks, +1 to wound, re-rolling. He's going to kill everything. Once you get to that point, he's literally like, that's really scary. And his other ability is, you have something my master wants. If the Keeper of Dungeon gets a +1 to wound against any model that bears one of the 3 elven rings, Nenya, Naya, or Vilya. So that's really handy. Wow, he's going to beat up Gandalf pretty good. Then we've got the Castellan of Dol Guldur, 40 points. He is a minor hero at fight 5, 4+ shoot value, strength 5, defense 6, 2 attacks, 1 wound, courage 6. He's got no might but 12 will and no fate. He's got armor and a sword, but you can give him a Morgul Blade for 5 points. The Morgul Blade is a once per game. The player can declare they're using the Morgul Blade during the fight phase before rolling to wound. If the model using Morgul Blade, they must direct all of their strikes against a single target. An enemy that has suffered a wound from a Morgul Blade is automatically slain, regardless of the wounds they have. Heroes may use Fate to avoid it, but if you fail any of them, they're dead. If the model using the Morgul Blade is mounted, they must use the rider's profile for like attacks and stuff. So yeah, pretty solid, but it's only once per game. You could fluff it, but you could kill something. So it's up to you on that. You've caused terror, and you've got Will of Evil, which sucks. Castellan of Dol Guldur do not grant their standfast rule to nearby warrior models. So, cool. And Will of the Necromancer, Castellans of Dol Guldur may use will points as fate points if they wish. So he has got 12 fate, pretty much. Because what else are you going to use the will for unless they're shooting tons of spells at a random Castellan? It's up to you. So, yeah, we'll go over the extra units that aren't in their section. We've got the Mirkwood Spider. Now, these are very popular to bring with Dol Guldur. I can see why they're fantastic. They're 20 points. They've got a movement of 10. They're fight 2 with a 5+ shoot value. Strength 5, defense 3, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, and courage 2. And they've got venomous fangs, so they're rerolling 1s to wound, because they've got Poison Fang special rule. They've got swift movement, so they can fly over terrain and stuff, and they cause terror. And they've also got Spider Webs, which is an 8-inch range throwing weapon. And if the spider hits a target, do not roll to wound. Instead, the model suffers the effect of paralyze. That's pretty scary. A hero hit by it may expend a fate point in the same manner as if it suffered a wound in order to dodge the attack. If successful, the target model is not paralyzed. But yeah, I mean, even if you're paralyzing warriors, it's ridiculous because they have to wait until they roll a 6 to unparalyze themselves. So they're really solid, especially if you can get it on a hero and you do manage to do it. They're paralyzed and you can just gank that hero. And good and bad orc warriors are, you know, they're higher strength than normal, so they're strength 4. They're still fight 3 though. Defense 5, which is pretty solid, and they can have a shield to go up to defense 6. They can have banners, they can have spears, but they're only courage 3, 1 attack, 1 wound. So standard. And they're 8 points, so 9 points with a shield. What else could we have? The Hunter Orcs as well. They're pretty much exactly the same, apart from they're only defense 4 and they're only courage 2. But they're still 8 points, which is a bit scary. But they've got many blades, so they get an extra attack if they've got the infantry keyword. And then you can get their respective captains. So they're just slightly better versions of the orcs themselves. And you can give them wargs and bows and stuff like that. How competitive are they? Well, in my opinion, they can be quite competitive. Now, here's the scenario that they excel at, in my opinion. A clash by moonlight. Because basically, you score victory points for killing the enemy's heroes. Now, if the enemy's heroes stand back up on a 2+ and can use might to change that, then yeah, it's going to be very hard to kill the enemy's heroes unless you've got all Elven Blades, and even then it goes up to a 3+ if they've got the Necromancer. So, they do really well in that scenario. On the downside though, if you do bring the Necromancer, you've put a lot of points into a model that could technically be one-shot by Banish, by Lady Galadriel or something like that. So it's quite hard to pick. I think they can be, but I don't think they're going to be in my personal top 5 pick. If you bring them with Mirkwood Spiders, that's pretty good. But I would also probably go along and ally them with maybe Azog's Legion. I know the Necromancer's really tempting to bring, but he's so potentially squishy that he could get one shot that I don't know if you want to sink 250 points. I'd rather bring something like Azog on his White Warg, who's got Master of Battle, because they're green allies, and just have him running about killing stuff, and then you can bring the Nazgûls along with them with a few orcs and a couple of spiders. That's probably your best bet. That is probably your best bet. Yeah, that's what I would do anyway, because the Rays would be really good at sitting on an objective and not dying. Yeah, other than that, I can't see how I would play them. If you know a specific way of playing them, or if you have had some really good success with them in the past, do let me know. But as far as I'm aware, the only way I can really see them playing, the only way I've seen them at events is bringing in allies, definitely bringing in spiders, and Azog is very, very popular as an ally. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I'd play them. Bring maybe a couple of Nazgûl, fill it out with Azog and a bunch of orcs. Happy days. So, anyway, that was my review. Thank you ever so much for listening. And if you're feeling especially charitable today, do hit that like button so I know you love these reviews. And if you're feeling especially saintly today, maybe even hit that subscribe button. But if you don't do either, then I don't mind. I still hope you have an absolutely fantastic day, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.